What artificial being is fashioned by the War Master Abaddon to command his Blackstone Fortress, the will of eternity? What lies is it told, so that it obeys the War Master? What action will it take when it discovers the truth? Friends, let's find out, and welcome to another 40k video drawing on The Fall of Cadia by Robert Rath. The fortress emerges. Javira Morkath. Many amongst Abaddon's followers are hurt by being so close to the Eye of Terror. Morkath, a psyker, because of her Blackstone implants, can see the thoughts of each of the beings gathered there for Abaddon's council. She believes that the War Master had pulled Morkath out of the dark as a child and made her what she was. Though what that was exactly remained a subject of whispers, she called him father, and she was Abaddon's eyes throughout the fortress, the will of eternity. The Space Marines under Abaddon did not intimidate her. She holds a skull, a facsimile of the head of Horus Lupercal, created by the War Master by Fabius Bile, and she holds this for him to drink from. Javira Morkath was Abaddon's conduit to the Blackstone Fortress, the empiric architect who alone could colonize the inert Noctilith with the essence of the warp. In fact, she was the very being who had tamed this council chamber, channeling empiric energies into the veins of the dark stone and webbing it in tumours, spans of flesh and pulsing arteries. Without her, this fortress that birthed her, the will of eternity, as they called it, though it was far too ancient to carry a name, would be nothing. Abaddon wanted her to watch the minds of his followers, those close to him. The council chamber amplified her cognitive forensics. One of his followers, Erkanthos, is before Abaddon. He seeks to be the first to land on Cadia. He says he annihilated ships translating from the warp. Abaddon says Morse got through, and Erkanthos says demons pursue. Abaddon takes issue with this. He says, "We do not rely on demons. They are tools for us to command." Abaddon says that there will be no landings. We will break Cadia with the will of eternity. They will break when it brings its power against the fortress cities of Cadia. Morkath had emerged when they had taken the fortress. She appeared as a child. One eye was a brilliant violet, the other a sable orb. The black eye was not natural, but a false black stone, one recently implanted. One of Abaddon's followers shoots at her, but the child Morkath moved her right hand, an instant before he raised the weapon. Her young mind, seeing Heskash's intention before his brain sent the signal to do it, Morkath saw her tiny fingers spear upward through the air. Noctilith spikes drove up from the floor like a wave, smashing upon rocks. They speared through Hekshah's abdomen and split armor plates, and another finishes him. She fights some more. Then Abaddon appears. He says, "Let us talk. That is why you were made, I think, to communicate. I am Ezekiel Abaddon, the War Master. What is your name?" The girl said nothing, and she gets her name, which means Fortress Child at that point, and she says it out loud. Until this time she had spoken to none but the worshippers who venerated her and to the fortress, a parent that need not christen her. After the council meeting, Abaddon explains to Morkath how he would be different if he accepted the gifts of the ruinous powers. It would have remade him. "You have only accepted the mark," Morkath nodded, "and that mark is that all the gods, not one, even so," he tapped the mark, "cannot become who I am, or else I will be lost to it. Like Horus, the last time we nearly destroyed the empire of lies, one must wear the crown without becoming it, and always be ready to take it off." She felt for the weight of the burden he carried. After Cadia, they would give a name to this bond between them. She would call him father, and he would call her daughter. She warns him to be careful with Erkanthos due to his ties to Khorne. Later, she remembers the truth, what Abaddon did to make her. Abaddon at this moment speaking to an apothecary. "You do not appreciate the resources I have put into this project, nor the favours I have called in, nor the manpower cost of raiding the black ships for psychic children. You do not appreciate what artifacts I had to trade in order to get you those damned consultations with the Drukhari flesh witch. and nothing to show for it but tortured bodies out the airlock. Then you succeed in what? You lose the child? Don't you see this is a success? An incredible success. I did not even realise the subject had survived, yet she scrabbled off the slab and into the corridor, and when I chased her, the fleshwork doors slammed into my face, and she turned the fortress thralls against me. She can speak to the corrupted fortress war master. The control we've striven for is here. No more channeling demons into the Noctilith to try and subdue it, trading one malign intelligence for another. We have a purpose-built control device that can itself be controlled. A child, one that has escaped with the components we need in order to make another. A child who will grow and can be recaptured. She's frightened, new to transhuman rebirth. Even our own neophytes go mad for a time. And she sees the truth. She was raised by a cult, a feral child. She had been told. It was a lie. He'd made her to unlock the fortress, to break Cadia. The will of eternity was so valuable because he could domesticate it. He had traded another to Huron Blackheart because it was ungovernable. The demon channeled into it too wild. She still saw, at this time, he claimed her as his own, and that she has a purpose to serve him. Later, as the battle evolves, Abaddon is needed on the vengeful spirit, and Marath contacts him. At this point, the war is going poorly for Abaddon. The fortress of Blackstone is badly damaged after being attacked by the Imperium, and this Imperial Fist ship you might have heard of. Sounds pretty badass. It's called the Phalanx. Abaddon is surprised to get a message from his daughter, who says she will continue his work despite the damage. She explains the fortress can be repaired. She says, I am under no illusion that we share blood, but you made me and raised me in your care, kept me close, just as your gene father kept you close. There's no sense in denying it. You are mistaken. He shook his head. I made you because when we put a demon in the last fortress, it went mad, became uncontrollable. I had to pass it to the Red Corsairs, bargain it away to get any benefit. I know, and though you did not care for me, for anything but as an object, have I not proved myself? I know your heart, how you have grown to care for and rely on me. I am not sentimental. You need not be anyone you are not. Just acknowledge me as your daughter, as yours. Let me serve you, not as the fortress child, but as your own Javera Abaddon, mistress of the fortress. I will deliver you terror. Abaddon says he has other plans for the ship. He says the fortress is no longer of use. She asks to be let off the ship, to be allowed to transfer over to the vengeful spirit. There, using little samples of Noctilith, they can create the war chamber, so she can continue to serve Abaddon by reading the minds of his followers, so that no danger can come to him. Yes, he answered. I allowed you close, perhaps too close, a risk I must mitigate. You are a useful tool, but someone once told me a useful tool is worth sacrificing. Do you recall who said that? Marath's shoulders dropped. It was done. She would not demean herself in his eyes by fighting it. Marath put her head in her hands, unable to look at him. Do one thing. Grant me my desire. Acknowledge me. Let me die with your name. No. Father. He leaned backwards as if struck. The word had touched some pain in him she did not realise existed, but she didn't care. If she hurt him, so be it. He was the one who would not accept her, and he was not the one hurtling towards terminal orbit. I am sorry, Marath, he said. I have disappointed you. Marath blinked. She had never heard the War Master apologise for anything. Within she felt an old hope bloom, a moment bathed in his light. But in my experience, that's what fathers do. Really like that point, cutting back to the relationship between Abaddon and Horus. Abaddon at this point cuts the transmission, and her further hails were not answered. She rotated the throne towards the stern, watching the incandescent burn of atmosphere lick at the viewport, seeing the snow-capped mountains of Cadia grow until she could see its ridges and valleys like crags on the face of an old, bitter man. He would not let her gracefully spiral into deorbit. The despoiler was pushing her straight to the world below. Marath reached her consciousness through the stricken fortress in the moments before impact, flowing all of her soul out into the Blackstone, so she did not have to die in the body he'd made for her. Do what you want, Father, she said, thoughts reverberating through the alien stone, but you cannot stop me from fulfilling my promise. and with her mind suffusing the stone, blazing like an asteroid, she broke the world for him. Cadia shattered, and she gained Abaddon victory in that moment. And on that fateful note and the sad end of Abaddon's daughter, Marath, we'll wrap up today's video. Got something to say? Drop me a comment down below, let's have a chat.